get to the money. Gotta get to the money. Early morning, so you know that I'm on it. So you know that I'm on it. Gotta make sure that my family straight. Gotta make sure that the kids and me. Gotta make sure that the bills is paid. And then let's get to the money. Get to the money. Early morning, so you know that I'm on it. And gotta make sure that my family straight. Gotta make sure that the kids and they. Gotta make sure that the bills is paid. And then let's get to the money. Get to the money.
Welcome to another episode of Drinking After Dark, a podcast where we discuss random topics while having a few drinks. I'm your host, Darius, and as always, drink responsibly. And y'all make sure y'all follow Drinking After Dark podcast on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And y'all make sure y'all hit that like button and subscribe to Drinking After Dark podcast YouTube channel. Tonight, I have a very special guest with me. I'm glad he decided to come on because he called me at the Juneteenth festival, man. He saw me. Actually, this is going back to almost a year ago when we tried to get this thing going on, but we finally got it happening. He's a husband, father, veteran. He's also the Tennessee representative out of Clarksville, Tennessee, District 67. Welcome to the podcast, Representative Ronnie Glynn. How's it going?
Oh man, it's going good, man. Can't complain. If I did, wouldn't nobody listen anyway, right?
I hear you. I see you drinking on the Coca-Cola tonight.
Yeah, for now, I'm gonna keep it clean on camera.
I got you. I'm actually drinking the Dr. Pepper, so we're both gonna keep it clean tonight.
Yeah, so, keep it clean for now.
Definitely. So, Representative Glynn, why don't you introduce yourself and tell people a little bit about yourself?
So again, Darius, thank you so much for having me. As Darius said, I actually saw a piece of his show about a year ago, and I thought it was a very interesting show. So when I ran into him at another event, I believe it was in Oak Grove, and I can't remember the actual event that was being held. And I asked him about, I actually talked to him about his show and things like that. And he offered me an opportunity to come on board, come on and take part of the show. We never could work that out until, again, we ran into each other in the Juneteenth event. And I told him, definitely send me an email and I'll definitely come on. And so trying to keep my word and doing what I say I'm going to do. Again, I do appreciate you allowing me to come on today. So for anyone who may not know, I am born and raised in the state of Tennessee, actually in West Tennessee. Joined the military when I was 20 years old. Spent the next 23 years serving my country. My wife is from West Tennessee as well. We've been married for 32 years. We have 4 kids, 11 grandkids. Got here in Clarksville in 2006. And then obviously being from Tennessee, planted our roots here. And so we've had an opportunity to really enjoy ourselves here. Being in Tennessee, and especially in Clarksville, you kind of centered everything. So you can kind of get to wherever you want to go in a day's time and enjoy yourself and spend the night and come back and never miss a day of work. So we really love it here. We've loved how Montgomery County has grown and to become what it is today, and that it's still growing, offering more and more opportunities every day. A couple of years ago, I was offered an opportunity to run for office off of I tell everybody they won't believe me, but it really was a Facebook post that got me to run for office. So I did, and ran for state senator, and did not win, however, but I stayed into politics. I continued on staying active in the community and things like that. And so when opportunity presented itself again to run, I took it, and this time I was able to win, and so became a state representative for District 67. Which pretty much runs down the center of Montgomery County. Just finished our first session back in April. As many of you probably watched, it was a very interesting session. Probably one for the ages, to be honest with you. I talked to people who have been in the legislature for over 20 plus years, and they said they had never seen anything like that. So it was a very, very interesting session. And I look forward to going back again in January. But obviously we'll be going back again in 2 weeks to take care of some business. But I'm sure we'll get into that, and so I won't go into in depth in that. But we will be back in there in a couple of weeks to talk about some issues that the state is facing. So we'll see what happens with that.
Definitely, definitely. And before we go any further, I just gotta let you know, my mother says hi. So
Tell her.
so she says hi, and not only her, but me also actually voted for you. So just to let you know, and you probably don't remember this, but the first time I actually met you was in 2020 at the Elections Commission downtown. You had your setup and everything. You know, you had
Okay.
your work. I was actually working on another campaign, Joe Shakinab's campaign.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so I was
Well,
down there helping him out.
I definitely appreciate y'all vote, man.
Yeah. So when I saw your name, I was like, oh, I didn't know he was in my district. Okay. So
I definitely appreciate that, man.
no problem, no problem. So I'll definitely let my mother know you
Oh,
said hi,
absolutely.
and she's a big supporter of yours, and so am I. So
I
we
appreciate it.
appreciate everything that you're doing right now. So
Appreciate it.
I want to go back to something that you mentioned about April. Y'all session in April. You know, you said it was crazy, right? We all we all know, if y'all don't know what happened, um, I would actually let Ronnie Glynn basically fill in the holes and everything like that. But it garnered a lot of national news, and I was even shocked by it. I was like, Tennessee's in the national news. You rarely even hear that, especially coming from, our politics. But it was in the national news. Um, One, just let the people know a little bit what happened. And two, give people like your experience witnessing what was going on at the state capitol.
Okay. So, yeah, it was Tennessee being in the news was something that Tennesseans had, not experienced, probably, definitely that I can remember. But really and truly, we was in the news for all the wrong reasons. Um, Definitely for all the wrong reasons. Not only are we passing uh, awful bills that kind of put us in the news, but what transpired after the unfortunate shooting in Covenant High School in Nashville uh, was if people go back and remember Justin Jones, who was a big advocate down in Nashville before he got elected, he fought for so many things that he believed that the state needed to be moving forward, moving toward. When he won his election, he came in with that same attitude, with that same mindset, is that he's going to advocate for things that he believed in. And then we had another Justin out of Memphis who was elected into the office because of an untimely death of one of the Memphis delegates. And so basically, we had two advocates in our legislator who both names happen to be Justin. And then we had another lady from out of Knoxville by the name of Gloria Johnson. So they were all three really big advocates for their cause. And so after the Covenant shooting happened, uh, I tell you, it was really interesting to be in the house that Thursday after it happened. I believe it happened on a Tuesday or something like that. It was really interesting to be on the House floor that Thursday because it was almost as if we weren't even bringing it up. Like it really did feel like we were bypassing what had taken place uh, in the legislature or in the state after that. We was experiencing another mass shooting at the hands of someone who obviously we know never had a gun in their possession. And not only was it a gun, it was a weapon of mass destruction. It was a weapon of war, really and truly. And they never should have had. When you go back and look, that there was a lot of red flags that really let people know that young lady should not have had that gun in her hand. And so as we proceeded on through session that day, it really seemed like we were not even considering or talking about what had happened. And so there were a lot of folks up in the balcony, and something happened in the balcony, and it kind of it was like, the light came on, and all of a sudden, for lack of a better word, all hell broke loose. So the both Justice and Gloria kind of went to what we call the well, and they actually began to protest the fact that we were not talking about any kind of legislation that dealt with guns. And so that was the beginning of what was branded as the 10. So being in there that day and watching that take place, you know, you knew that they probably was wrong in how they went about it, but they were actually right in the sense of talking about it. We should have been saying something about what had just happened, what had just transpired in Nashville, in the state. And so they broke the quorum for the House. We ended up having to go and reset to kind of regain, not control, gains quorum back in the House per se. And so we went on. And then the following session, all of a sudden, here comes the other side with this whole idea that they're going to expel those three members. And of course, that did not sit well because those three members actually were standing up for the young folks, the folks who had been killed in such an unfortunate incident. And so they decided that that was their way of getting rid of these three activists that they did not like. They really just didn't like these three. It had nothing to do really and truly with the well or the breaking of the quorum. They just didn't like them. And they had shown it throughout session in the way that they treated them when they did speak, the way that they treated them in committees. If you were to go back and look at committee meetings and things like that, you would see how they treated them throughout the time. So they really just didn't like them at all. So they felt that this was an opportunity to get rid of them. And unfortunately, not unfortunate, but unfortunate for them, it didn't work out the way they had planned. It really became a fiasco for them, and it really and truly put Tennessee on the map for all the wrong reasons. And so it raised their brain to bring that attention to the gun violence that's plaguing not only our state but our country. It brought really attention to it. We had massive crowds outside the Capitol marching, things like that. They were able to expel two of the members, which happened to be the two justices, which happened to be the two black members. But the white member, which was Gloria Johnson, did not get expelled. She survived the vote. So it just got worse and worse for them as it progressed on. And so for us in the legislative, we continue to support our members. We thought what was going on with them was really bringing attention to the things that we've talked about for years, that we felt has always been an issue, not only in Tennessee, but throughout this country. And so being in the legislature and seeing it firsthand and being a part of it, even though there may have been some things that could have been done different, they were right. They were right in the way that they wanted to bring attention to what was going on, and the fact that we did not, it's as if we didn't even address it that following session, is what really gave rise to the Tennessee Three, that really, excelled this whole conversation. And so now here we are again, in 2 weeks, going back into session to talk about what they were on to talk about. However, only problem with this session is we're not talking about it. We have what I like to call word salad, a bunch of words that actually does not address any of the issues that they brought up. And so we'll deal with that when we get there. But that's kind of how that played out. And for me, it was, again, being part of that, seeing it firsthand, again, knowing why it happened, and believing in what they did. Yes, did they break the rule of the well, of the quorum? Absolutely. But was it warrant of expelling members? Absolutely not. There's a lot worse things that have happened in that legislature that they don't even address. But yet here we are talking about three members who came to the well and had a protest per se of what was going on in the state of Tennessee. So that's how that played out.
I I was kind of because you brought that up. And I was at first I didn't understand why the state didn't bring up, you know, the shooting that took place because we not only do we see it in Nashville, but we see it across the country, as you mentioned. And yet it seemed like lawmakers don't even want to deal with the issue of school safety. You know, they'll bring up everything else. You know, you see elected officials bring everything else like banning books or the curriculum and all of that, but it seems like no one wants to talk about school safety, which should be a top priority when you go to school, is the safety of kids. Why do you think that doesn't get brought up as much um, among the elected officials?
So the reason why, when you talk school safety, uh, one of the conversations that many of them don't want to have is when you're talking about allowing folks to have weapons of mass destruction, weapons of war, AR-15s, AK, whatever, semi-automatics. When you talk about those kind of weapons, and anyone can go and purchase, then school safety is a second thought to them. And so, this whole idea of, violating my Second Amendment right. Well, I've been in this world 53 years, and I've never in my lifetime seen the government come into anyone's house and say, I'm going to take your weapon. And, but that argument tends to work so well with so many of them that you're trying to take my weapon. No one's trying to take anything. What we're trying to do is say, hey, school safety starts with who's allowed to buy weapons. If you allow any and everybody who many, may have an issue going on in their life, at that time they need to take care of that issue before they're allowed to purchase a weapon. That's one of the first steps of school safety, because people who are not in a position to know right from wrong, distinguish right from wrong, they can do anything at any time if they have weapons of mass destruction and weapons of war. And so that is how you initially address school safety. When you talk about putting money into school and saying we need to put more SROs in, we need to put different glass in the schools, we need to arm teachers with guns. The whole idea of arming teachers with guns is one of the silliest ideas I've ever heard in my life. Who do you arm? Were you going to make teachers carry guns? What if nobody in that school wants to carry one? So that whole idea of arming teachers with guns is one of the silliest things I ever heard. This whole idea of more SROs in the school. Every school will have an SRO. Okay, if you put an SRO in every school and a gunman comes in and that's the first person they take out, what good was that SRO? So that idea again makes absolutely no sense. I have no problem with an SRO in every school, but that's just one fix. That's one measure of trying to protect school and kids and things like that when it comes to our kids. But the reality is we are missing an opportunity to really and truly get a handle on what's going on. I mean, the state every year are doing more and more to give access to guns to people who should not have them. I mean, they went away with the permitless carry. They went away with permit carries to now it's permitless. You don't even need a permit to carry a weapon. They went away from gun safety courses. You don't need to take a gun safety course now to carry a weapon. They even dropped the age down to 18 for someone to buy a weapon. You can be 18 now and go into a gun store or gun show and buy a weapon. So everything that the state has done, they have done to decrease the safety of schools, to decrease the safety of everyday Tennesseans. They have no intent of protecting kids from any kind of mass killing. Their only goal is, to continue to protect these right wing extremists, these lobbying group, the gun lobbyists and things like that, the NRA. That's the only thing they really care about. And and kids being killed is not one of them. I say all the time, when teachers are spending more time building barricades instead of educating, then we've lost the battle already. I mean, it's really sad that the kids are spending more time learning how to stay alive in school than actually learning how to, add, subtract, read, and write. It's sad. It really is. So that's not a conversation they want to have because it will go against everything that they've already tried to take away.
Yeah, I find that kind of very interesting how they want to lower the age to buy a gun at 18, but yet you increase the age to 21 to buy cigarettes or whatever to smoke, which is kind of backwards in my opinion. It's like if
And,
they able to.
and if we're not careful, they're going to try to increase the age to vote to 8 to 21. Again, it's all about what can I take away that's a disadvantage for me. What many of them don't want to see is young folks vote because young folks are moving more and more toward the Democratic side because they're seeing that the Democrats are really and truly about everyday people. We're about helping those who need help, being on the side of the people when it comes to issues that they care about. And what they're saying is they're saying Republicans are interested in satisfying lobbyists. They're more interested in satisfying, groups that really do not have the best interest of Tennesseans in hand. And so if they can raise the voting age to 21, well, that takes out that young group, that takes out those millennials, that takes out that group that's coming out of school and saying, hey, you did nothing to protect us while we were in school. I'm a voting member now. I'm gonna make sure I get you out of office. So that's what they're trying to. I mean, we even had a bill that hit the committee, never got to the House floor, just to show you how extreme they've become. We had a bill debated in committee that was actually going to remove the word handgun and make it a firearm. Remove the word handgun, open carry handgun, right? Think about this. Open carry is about handgun. Well, if you remove the word handgun to firearm, what does that mean? It can be anything. It can
Right.
be whatever you want. Open carry could be an AR-15, a semi-automatic. It's open carry. They really debated that in the committee. It's
Wow.
yeah.
I mean, even when, like you said, you brought up the voting age, I even heard some people trying to make it up to 25. So it's kind of like, do you not know how to communicate with the next generation, the next voting generation that's coming up, or are you just gonna stick to the money aspect of everything and do what they paid you to do? So
That's really what it boils down to.
that's very, very interesting. Let's talk about some of the committees that you want, and some of the organizations also that you're a part of. First, let's start with the committees. Tell the people the committees that you want and what's your role in those on those committees.
So I am on the transportation committee, the education. Let me start off a transportation committee as well as transportation subcommittee. I'm also on the education instruction committee as well as the subcommittee, and I'm also on criminal justice committee. So those committees, transportation obviously deals with our infrastructure and things like that, highways, bridges, any kind of bills that someone brings along. Let's say we had a bill which was interesting this year that came through in one of the counties. One of the representatives wanted to basically open up a 9 mile stretch of one of the state highways to allow four-wheelers to travel down this 9 mile stretch. His argument was pretty good that, in rural areas, there's a lot of farmland, obviously. So there was about a 9 mile piece of highway that folks on a four-wheeler would get on to travel to the store, to a local store or something like that. So he wanted the state to allow for four-wheelers to travel on that 9 mile stretch of highway. And it was so funny because it was actually his own party that voted it down. So we deal with things like that. We deal with those who want to raise the speed limit in certain areas, or if someone wants to pass a bill that makes it illegal to, uh, how you see people who move over when they see an emergency vehicle. I actually passed a bill this year that made it illegal. If you do not move over when you come up on an emergency vehicle, you can actually be ticketed for that. So those are kind of the things we deal with. We deal with the transportation bill that we did. They signed passed a $3.3 billion transportation bill this year that really is going to deal with the infrastructure of the state. Part of it is going to widen some of the roads that we're talking about, especially in our rural communities. It's gonna call for the study to bring in what's called choice lanes. A lot of people, there's a lot of pushback on what the choice lanes really are. Uh, some call them tolls. Reality is, if you really do dig into it, it is a choice lane. We may end up paying a price for that one, but it really is a choice lane now. It's a choice. If you want to get in the lane, you get in it. If you don't, stay in the main two lanes. It's really and truly a choice if you want to make. Also, the bill dealt with EVs, electric vehicles, kind of even in the playing field for EVs to drive on the highway and actually put into paying into the road tax, gas tax that helps to maintain our road. Criminal Education and Instruction Committee deals with basically anything that relates to books in our school. What teachers, what The third grade retention bill was a big bill that came through our committee this year as it related to uh, what kids need to learn, what they don't need to learn, how they learn, our testing system. The third grade retention bill was a really big contentious bill this year that dealt with our third graders. So those kind of bills come through our committee. And then obviously criminal justice. I mean, we could go an hour, 2 hours on criminal justice. Anything that relates to locking someone up, letting someone loose, dealing with our criminal justice system, even our youth comes through the criminal justice committee. That is a very, very interesting committee to be on. Um, I'm the first year that I've been in these committees, I really spent more time learning. I didn't ask a whole lot of questions in the committee because I just wanted to make sure that I understood the questions that I asked, that I was going to ask, and how those bills are going to be come through. It was an interesting committee to be on. We spent a lot of time with bills. The biggest bill that came through our criminal justice obviously was the drag bill that Republicans pushed through, which actually got overturned in court. So again, we spend more time passing bills that make absolutely no sense. They're going to be overturned by justice. But it seems that that's what they're hell bent on, passing bills that actually do not help Tennesseans but hurt Tennesseans. So those are the three committees that I'm on. I'm also part of the veteran committee for the state. So we deal with veteran bills that relates to veterans as well. We get an opportunity to talk to those organizations that want to bring in bills that favor our veterans, are going to help our veterans. So I'm proud of being on that committee as well. It's good.
I want to ask you this because you brought up the third grade retention bill. I know it was a big deal when the bill was passed and everything like that. And my daughter was the first to experience this because she was in the third grade last year. She's in the fourth right now. I think I think what people are so upset about this, and I think, I can just speak from my experience. My daughter, you know, her grades were great, right? But yet, because of a test, really the TCAP test, the reading portion, they're not proficient on that particular test. They have to take it again, or, summer school, or possibly even getting held back because of a test. Um, I know a lot of parents like me was kind of outraged. It's like they do good the whole year, but yet you're basing their their advancement on a test, essentially. And I didn't like that. Even though my daughter, I'll just tell you this, my daughter, she took it the first time, didn't do so good, probably because there was all that test going on at the same time. But the second time she did it, she was very proficient, and they moved her along. How did you feel about that particular bill, when they said, well, this is what we're going to do? And instead of giving it like a year trial to see how it worked out, they just pushed it up and said, we're just going to start it right away. And you see all these students, you heard about how many students had to retake it, or some even getting held back because of this, even though their grades on the report card said differently. How do you feel about that?
So great question. Your daughter got was the first experience of one of my grandkids where had unfortunately experienced it too, and she actually had to go to summer school. So my one of my grandkids, same thing. She didn't do well on the test. Didn't I think she did the way that they got it set up. They have to score 2 points higher or something on the retest, and then they don't have to take summer school, and then they progress on to full. So she didn't score the 2 points higher, and then she had to take summer school, and then of course she passed through summer school, so she's going on in fourth grade. The reality is, so and this is what I'm gonna beat our people up with right here is that's why it's so important that we as a community uh, pay attention to politics. We don't have to live our whole lives watching CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, or whatever, but we have to pay attention to our local politics because that bill actually passed in 2019. That bill was actually written in 2019. The reason the bill was not heard of or did not move forward is because the bill was supposed to go into effect in 2020. Well, what happened? COVID. Then in 2021, they held it off again because we still weren't fully out of COVID. Kids are not really going back to school yet. Some were, some weren't. And then in 2022, it was held back again because kids were just then getting back in school. So that bill actually came about in 2019. But I'm gonna knock us as people that we don't pay attention to our local politics. We're too busy watching what's going on at the federal level. And at federal level, let's be for real, how many bills come out at the federal level that affect your daily life? They don't. They really don't. But those local politics from the state down, those affect your daily life. So in 2019, this bill came out. So this year, when the idea was they're going to push the bill through, and this is going to be the first year that it happened, that it actually went into effect, there was a lot of pushback. I was one who pushed back on it because I felt and I knew that the bill was flawed. You could read the bill and you knew that it was flawed, period. Anytime you say kids, third graders, 9-year-olds, are going to be held back if they fail a test. One test, we're talking about one test. Like you say, that child could be a straight A student all year long, but a awful test taker and fail that test. Or that child could be a straight A student and an awesome test taker all year long. And it comes TCAP time. Maybe they weren't feeling well. Maybe they had a bad morning. Anything could happen. And that child fails that test or does not do well on that test. Now that child is considered retained in the third grade based on this one score. So then the state said, oh, well, they have more opportunity. They can always apply for waivers. They can retake the test. Well, again, so you punishing a child based on one test. And that's been my problem with this flawed system from the beginning. You're basing a child's ability of how they learn based on one test. You're holding a child back because of one test, one day in time, at one moment. And that is the dumbest and the stupidest thing I ever heard. That test should not be a combination of what that child learned throughout the year. And then to say, if your child still doesn't do well on the retest, but yet they had they excelled throughout the year, but they didn't do well on the retest. Well, you can always go back and apply for waivers. So again, here we are with your child is guilty until proven innocent. Not your child is innocent, let's now prove them guilty. They want to punish a child by having them say, oh, you got to do all these waivers to say that your child did meet the qualification or should go forward onto the fourth grade if they meet all these other qualifications through these waivers. Well, again, it's flawed. And then let's put this in another perspective. This same child, let's just say all these waivers. Well, who knows your child better than anybody? You and your child's teacher. They know your child. They've been with your child all year. We're talking about here's the state from sitting up on their perch way up high, looking down, saying your child is not smart enough to go to the next level. That again is flawed. Why are we at the state level? Why is the state saying, I'm going to tell you whether your child meets the qualifications to go on to the next grade? They don't know your child. They know nothing about them. Just because they did not do well on this one test does not define how that child performed throughout the year or what kind of child that is. That child could have had a bad day. What about kids who live in our impoverished area? Maybe that child didn't get anything to eat that morning. Maybe their parents had an argument that night before and it's still sitting on their mind. I mean, we don't know what goes on in kids' homes every day that affect them in school every day. And so to base it on one test, to base it on one moment in time, it's really and truly a sad day, and it's something that we'll continue to fight in the next session to fix, to better it. And again, I can understand the concept all day. Concept can be there that we want to make sure that kids, the study says kids if they're not at grade level by the third grade, they're less likely to be successful by the sixth grade, and then by the sixth grade, if they're not at grade level, they're less likely to be successful in society. Okay, you can do all the tests you want. Got it. That I can go with you with that, but you can't have a flawed system thinking that and punishing kids who are successful by having a one size fit all based on a test at this moment in time, at this day. So it's very flawed. I hate it. That's something I'll be fighting when we go back to session to get fixed, to make some serious changes to on that test, because it does not fit all our kids.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't understand it, at first, and I'm thinking like, if you got an A or B all year round, why are you going to be judged by one test, right? They have shown you all year long that, yeah, they're proficient, they're capable. Don't, make them go through one test just to prove that I feel like not only the student, but also the teacher is doing their job. So it's kind of like the system as a whole is like being watched closely,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't understand it. I remember the days where it used to be simple. You pass or you fail.
Yeah.
I remember those days.
Right.
And now you got, standardized testing and everything like that. I could go back to when I was in high school. In order for us to graduate, we had to take what they call the gateway test.
Mm-hmm.
So it was 3 tests. It was algebra 1, biology, and English 2. So you had to pass all 3 of those tests just to graduate high school. And
Mm-hmm.
usually you take those tests around your sophomore year of high school. And I'm
Right.
thinking like, why are we taking this test if we are already doing good in these classes anyway? You know,
It-
just more stuff that, more pressure on us just to prove
yeah.
to y'all that, we're learning something in these schools, and it's a lot more pressure on these teachers too. And a lot of people
Well,
don't understand that.
absolutely. And again, it's a flawed system, and it's a flaw, and the system is flawed not only from the tech, but it's flawed throughout because we put so many requirements on teachers that they have to teach this, they have to teach this, they have to teach that, that the teachers are teaching to a certain scale, but not to a certain standard. And what do I mean by that? If you've given teachers these requirements that they have to teach these subjects throughout the school year, and the teachers go in and they put their lesson plan together and they're going to spend 3 days on this subject. So in 3 days they spend on this subject. Well, what if a child didn't retain that information right then? Well, guess what? Can't wait on that child. We got to keep moving because why? I got to get to the next one. I got to get to the next one. I got to get to the next one. So there's no opportunity for that teacher to maybe delay pushing that next subject off because maybe all the kids didn't get the information. So we're having kids teach all these different subjects, and they have to maintain a certain pace in order to reach the goal or reach that standardized uh, standard that they have to reach by the end of the school year to say that they've taught all these requirements, all these courses, and all these things that the state required them to do. But yet, did the kids retain it? We don't know that. They're using a test to try to determine that they retain this information. Well, that makes absolutely no sense because again, it's the teacher who knows the child and what their kids are capable of learning and how quickly they can learn. So we have to start taking some of these requirements off of the teacher so that they can actually teach and not just say, not have to be at some state level requirement that's slowing them down from being able to really and truly educate our kids going forward. We are absolutely killing our kids, damaging our kids for future to for their future lives. And I say that because of this. There are teenagers today who cannot count change. They literally cannot count change. If you gave them, if you went to the store and you bought something that cost $5.37, they cannot even give you 63 cents back because they cannot count that change. That's the truth. I know it because I operate firework tents, and I had 3 teenagers this year, and that's when I realized they couldn't count change. It shocked me. I said, "You can't count change." They couldn't tell the difference between a nickel and a quarter, and I could not believe my eye. Man, I was set back about it. The kids today don't even have signature blocks. I mean, it's just unbelievable. But do you fault the teacher? No, because why? They're giving them all these requirements that they can't even. Can you really say what these kids are learning or retaining? No, because the teachers have to move to the next subject. They have to move to the next subject. So it's really a shame, and it really is.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't even know that. I saw George Wallace one time. It was like years ago. He made a joke about that. I thought it was just a joke, and then you brought that up. I was
No,
like,
it
"Are
wasn't
you
a joke. It's
serious?"
serious. Yeah, teenagers, you cannot count change, and they admit they
Wow.
can't count it. They said, "I can't count it." Shocked me, really did.
I'm just lost for words at that. That's something that I remember us learning in elementary school and it stuck with us. You
Mm-hmm.
know, all the way, for the rest of our lives. And
I not today though.
I mean, they don't even teach time like that anymore. I don't think.
Oh, no, they don't. Remember, kids no longer have to learn how to write in cursive anymore. I mean, so they don't have signature blocks. We have signature blocks. So when we go somewhere, we have to sign a piece of paper. our signature is unique to us, so we know if that was actually our handwriting or if someone forged our signature. Here today don't have signature blocks, man.
Oh man, we need to get back to the basics. That's what I don't think I'm gonna say.
You
Let's
see
get
what
back
I'm
to the
saying?
basics.
Back to some of the basics.
And if you need help with your fire tents and all of that, you let me know. I'll come.
All right, I'll
Uh,
let you know.
as long as I get a good discount on some of them fireworks,
All
I'm
right,
good.
there you go.
So you had a town hall meeting here in Clarksville, and I saw bits and portions of the town hall meeting. Explain the town hall meeting, the Tennessee Black Caucus. Some of the things that y'all talked about, some of the things that was brought up. Just let the people know.
Again, we had a town hall meeting back on Tuesday, I believe, and I was intentional about that day because it's August 8th, obviously Emancipation Day. So I was intentional about having that town hall on that day. So the Tennessee Black Caucus every year travel across the state to different districts to talk about legislative what we've done for that legislative session, as well as what we call listening. It's actually called the Tennessee Black Caucus Listening Tour. So we want to listen to our constituents and find out, number one, what is it that you want to see us work on coming into the next year, but also give you a little insight into what we worked on for the year and what we possibly will be working on going into the next session. And so this was actually the first time the Tennessee Black Caucus have ever been to Montgomery County, Clarksville, Montgomery County. So, and it was actually the last stop on the tour. So I was the last stop on the tour. It was the first time that they've ever been to Montgomery County. So one of the things I really wanted to do was make sure that they had a good time, and it was a great town hall. So I asked Tiffany Perkins, many of you might know Tiffany Perkins, who is the founder of Black Hartsville, if she would be willing to host the town hall. And so she took it on, and I will tell you, she done a excellent job. It was really, really well done, really well put together. She put her heart and soul in it. So shout out to Tiffany Perkins and Black Clarksville for what they done for the Tennessee Black Caucus. So we came in, we had a kind of I beg to say, a VIP dinner in the beginning with kind of some elected officials, with our elected officials right before the town hall. Just kind of talk to them about some of the things that within the city and the county. So that was at 4:30. So we had a good session there, and then the town hall started at 6. With it being my district, obviously I was the host and the MC of my own town hall. So I wanted to keep it light, but also wanted to make sure that the information was disseminated. I wanted to make sure that everyone left there was knowing that they actually got something out of the town hall. And so what I done was I put together an agenda that actually not only was it about listening, but also disseminating some information. So I had the mayor speak about what's going on in Montgomery County. I had the NAACP speak about what they were doing. I brought in the Commissioner of Veteran Affairs to talk about being a military town. We have an abundance of veterans. So you want to make sure you cover those bases. We talked a little bit about the transportation bill that was passed. And then we talked about the Economic Development Council that encompass small business. I'm sorry, let me rewind. We also talked about, which is very important, the youth summer program, making sure that the Black community understand that every year, especially this year, the governor put $15 million toward our youth and for the summer program. And many of us did not even know it existed until late into the summer. So a lot of kids didn't even get to take advantage of it. But I wanted to make sure that this doesn't happen again. So we'll have our youth, make sure our youth are working next year on the summer program. That program pays $16 to $20 an hour. Why did we not have our youth out there getting jobs so they can buy school clothes, take care of home, do the things that need to be done. So we were able to talk about that a little bit. And then, like I said, we talked about the EDC came in and talked about the small business loan with the governor putting in $117 million and making sure that the small businesses in some of our most distressed community, which is our Black and brown community, 51% of that $117 million have to go to distress Black businesses. So that's our minority community. So it was an opportunity for a lot of small businesses to take that information and put it to work and to try to get some of that money that is being offered through the state. And so I wanted to make sure everybody understood and had an opportunity to hear that as well. And so then we kind of got into the Q&A, which was, again, it's a listening tour, so we're there to listen. And I will tell you that the listening portion of it, we spent about an hour with Q&A. I will tell you, it was probably one of the most exciting times for a town hall. It was really, really in depth. It was really, really informative. The questions were great. They were wide ranging questions. That's why you heard the question about the what is it for the kids who go to college and get that money, the DDL, DIL, whatever. That question even came up about a bill that apparently was that dealt with that. I can't even remember what the question was, and I didn't even know it existed, I guess, that dealt with kids getting money going to college. But it was a wide range of questions. The questions were really, really good. They spoke to some of the things that is, again, town hall is about what's on the community mind. And so being able to listen and have feedback to those questions. I was really appreciative of my colleagues who was there because their questions wasn't aimed just at me. Their questions were aimed at some of the questions were aimed at them, not in a negative way, but because they worked on some of these bills and some of this legislation. They had better knowledge of what was going on with that legislation than I did. And so to be able for them to answer those questions informative and give that information back to the community. I mean, it was awesome, man. I can't wait for us to do it again, when we come back next year. But I'll be doing a town hall myself before session to kind of give everybody an opportunity to come back again and talk about maybe some things they may want me to work on specifically for the community. So I'll be doing that probably in December sometime, right before session.
Definitely, definitely. We're gonna be looking forward to that as well. I know it's the holidays, but it's a good time to do it. So I'll be looking forward to that, even if I gotta watch it. Somebody posted Facebook Live.
Oh yeah.
I probably already know who's gonna go live with that. I know you know this person very well. So if you're watching Monica Mix, I know it'll be you. So I'm just letting you know that I will tune in to that if I can't make it. I work in retail, so that's the busiest time for me. But
Yeah, absolutely.
If I get a chance to get on my phone, and even if I just got to listen to it, then I'll just do it that way.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
definitely, man. Well, look, I'm really appreciative of you coming on to the platform, man. And this was a long time coming, but man, you pretty much educated me. So, before we go, let the people know where they can follow you. If they have any questions, they can reach out to you. Let them know where they can, reach out to you.
Oh, okay, so obviously, I have a couple of social media platforms. So you can go to Facebook, which is Ronnie for 67, and it's just like that, all one word, RONNIE FOR 67. That's all my handles. Whether you go to Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, you can use those three. You can use that as the whatever you call it, for those platforms. It's running for 67. And then also you can reach me at my government email. It's rep.ronnie.glynn@gov.tennessee. So you can reach me at that as well. You can also call my office, my admin. Definitely get in touch with me if you need me for any of that. So I'm here for anything. If anyone has any issues, concerns, or you just want to talk about something that's going on, I'm here. I handle a lot of constituent issues. We try our best to, if someone calls that has a problem, we get them in touch with the right uh, department. We've had a very, not toot my horn, but we've had a very good success rate of just getting the information, getting people in touch with the right person to get their issue taken care of. So I'm here if you need me for anything. It doesn't matter whether you're 67, 68, or 75. I don't. I don't ask you that question. I just ask you what you need, and my job is to make sure that I get you in the right area to help you get whatever resolved that you need to get resolved. And be on the lookout. I'm also doing a lot of things around the community. We've got we're getting together the Boys and Girls Club, which unfortunately many of us know what happened with the past, and that's where we want to leave it in the past. But I put my name on to really push the Boys and Girls Club to get it up and running in Montgomery County because it is needed. So keep your eye out for that. We did talk about it a little bit in the town hall, so I'm excited about that. And also, like I say, just you see me around the community, don't hesitate to stop. I mean, I am that guy that will talk to anybody, anytime, anywhere, about anything, whether we agree or disagree. Uh, I will talk to you. We'll talk in the most professional way because I don't hold hold it against anyone who does not see things the way I see it, because that's just the way we're built. We're supposed to have different views on different things. And so if you see me, holla.
Definitely, definitely. And we're going to do this again. Even if
Absolutely.
even if you want me to host something virtually, I'll do it. I'm all for it. You know what I mean? Listen, like I said, this was a long time coming. I've been waiting on you, and I had fun tonight. I don't know about you, but I had fun tonight. This was very informative and everything like that. And also, y'all make sure y'all hit that like and subscribe button, and make sure y'all follow Drinking After Dark podcast on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Mr. Glynn, anything else that you want to add before we go?
No, man, I appreciate you inviting me on. Like you said, it was a long time coming, but we finally got there, and I appreciate you hosting me and having me here. Because anytime I had a chance to talk to the people, I want to be able to do it because I want everyone to know what's going on, what I'm doing, what's happening in the community. Because an informed community is a better community. So that's what I want to always make sure I'm doing.
Definitely, definitely. And y'all make sure y'all please follow Representative Glynn on the social media platforms. And again, if you need to email him, I have the email. So if y'all want me to post that, I could post it, contact information, whatever. Uh, you know, he's a guy you can reach out to and he'll answer your questions. All right. Well, until next time, I'm Darius from Drinking After Dark Podcast. We out. Peace.
Gotta get to the money. Gotta get to the money. Early morning, so you know that I'm on it. So you know that I'm on it. Gotta make sure that my family straight. Gotta make sure that the kids in there. Gotta make sure that the bills is paid. And then let's get to the money. Get to the money. Early morning, so you know that I'm on it. And gotta make sure that my family straight. Gotta make sure that the kids in there. Gotta make sure that the bills is paid. And then let's get to the money. Get to the money.